Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
I want you to join me today listening to how the president exposes and also asks some assets of the past officials to be freezed. This station still remains PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Turn it to all posts so that you'll be notified duly of anything that will be posted onto the channel. Or join us on our comment section or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277-128-777. Thank you. We'll be right back.
It is common knowledge that our economy is in dire straits, which is putting it mildly, because an initial assessment of the books we have discovered, after initial assessment of the books, we have discovered that our economic problems are much deeper than was previously known. We have inherited a country that is broken on many fronts. The profundities of the challenges confronting us are staggering. We are saddled with staggering debts and glaring signs of almost deliberate and in some cases reckless mismanagement of our resources. Mr. Speaker, not even the restraints of an IMF program were enough for the previous economic managers to exercise prudence in managing our finances. After setting an inflation target of 18% by the end of 2024, the actual outturn was 23.8%, significantly higher than the threshold agreed with the IMF. The Ghana cedi continued its downward slide, losing 19% of its value against the dollar in 2024. It had already in the previous year lost 27.8% of its value. In addition,
this Monday on Master of the Game with
His Royal Blackness, KKTV Finest.
our special guest is a visionary social entrepreneur, author, humanitarian, girls and women's advocate, and head of marketing and media relations at Electron
sold at $2,600 per ton. As a result, the then management of Cocoa Board rolled over these contracts into the 2024-2025 season. Honorable members, Mr. Speaker, this implies that for every ton of cocoa delivered this year, in fulfillment of the rollover contracts, Cocoa Board and Ghanaian farmers are going to lose $4,000 in revenue. Mr. Speaker, as I address this Honorable House, Cocoa Board has supplied 210,000 tons out of the rolled over contract, resulting in a revenue loss of $840 million for both Cocoa Board and the Ghanaian farmer. Mr. Speaker, Cocoa Board and the Ghanaian farmer will lose another $495 million by the time the board finishes supplying the remaining rolled over contracts. Additionally, Cocoa Road commitments alone total 21.7 billion cedis, of which only 4.4 billion is included in the total debt of 32.5 billion. This debt has arisen mainly because of the decision in 2019 and 2020 to award road contracts worth over $1 billion because of the election. Mr. Speaker, the energy sector faces significant financial challenges, primarily due to collection and system losses, non-compliance with the cash waterfall mechanism, and legacy debts. The financing shortfall has risen considerably to approximately $2.2 billion, or 34 billion Ghana cedis for 2025. And urgent measures will be needed to reduce it to sustainable levels and ultimately eliminate it. The financial sector continues to struggle despite the reportedly spending of $29.9 billion on the financial sector cleanup exercise up to date. Scant reserves were also left for debt servicing, despite implementing what may be considered the most severe and distressing economic policy in the annals of the Fourth Republic, if not in the entirety of our nation's history. And I'm referring to the domestic debt exchange program. This is in stark contrast to our actions in 2017 before we left office, when we allocated $250 million to the sinking fund handed over to the incoming government to service debts, Ghana's debts. There have been claims that buffers were left for debt repayment, oncoming debt repayment this year. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me give you the statement of account for the debt service reserve account, which is also popularly referred to as the sinking fund. This fund shows a balance of only $64,000 in the dollar account, $64,000 in the dollar account, and 143 million Ghana cedis in the CD account. The repercussions of the accumulation of debt and economic mismanagement will require extensive work and sacrifice to repair. In the next 4 years, to put things in context for you, Mr. Speaker, in the next 4 years, our debt servicing will amount to 280 billion cedis. And this comprises of 150 billion for domestic debt and 130 billion in external debt servicing. Our catastrophic debt position has also severely impacted infrastructural projects that should have been completed. Currently, there are 55 stalled projects due to the default of debt and subsequent restructuring, with a total value of $2.95 billion not disbursed. The stalling of these projects is expected to result in a cost overrun of about 15 billion cedis. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding this gloomy background, I remain committed to leading this government and taking every necessary step to reset our economy, getting things back on track, and working with the good people of our country to build the Ghana we want. Most hospital equipment in the Ghana Health Service facilities have deteriorated or broken down. Mr. Speaker, the Agenda 111 program, which was started as a knee-jerk reaction during the COVID-19 pandemic, when the Ghanaian public had begun to appreciate the significant investments that the previous NDC administration had made in healthcare facilities, and began to lament the many hospital projects that had stalled under the previous administration, a promise was made to build 111 hospitals. Mr. Speaker, I'm sad to note that there is no dedicated funding source for such a gargantuan project. There is no dedicated funding source for this gargantuan project. Mr. Speaker, for the record, as I speak, not a single Agenda 111 hospital is operational. In any part of Ghana, I challenge you, not one is operational. Mr. Speaker, and it is worth disclosing, that $400 million has already been disbursed under the Agenda 111 project. Mr. Speaker, at a rate of approximately $80 million per hospital, this $400 million spent could have completed and made operational at least 22 of those hospitals. Mr. Speaker, I believe that The money should have been focused on completing a number of hospitals and making them operational instead of spreading it over the current 111 hospitals. As I speak, some are at the foundation level and not a single one is operational. I have directed the Minister for Health to present us with a plan on the way forward for this program. And let me add that we are open to public-private partnerships and franchising to complete and operationalize these hospitals. Narrative that presents road maintenance and rehabilitation efforts as new construction projects, misleading the public about what has been achieved. The proportion of poor roads has increased, especially in urban centers, where the number of roads in disrepair surged from 46% in 2015 to almost 60% by 2021. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, our road sector is in crisis, mainly due to years of mismanagement. As many as 85% of awarded contracts in the road sector have stalled, and the contractors have stopped work due to non-payment, and most of them have packed their equipment off-site. Mr. Speaker, as of December 2024, unpaid bills owed to contractors in the sector exceeded 20 billion Ghana cedis for work that had been carried out between 2018 and 2024. For instance, the Ghana Road Fund obtained a loan of 600 million Ghana cedis in March 2018 to refinance outstanding debts and borrowed an additional 1.2 billion Ghana cedis from a syndication of banks in November 2019. Alarmingly, upon assuming office, the Ghana Road Fund still had outstanding payments, including some as low as 2,000 Ghana cedis, dating back to 2018. Current commitments for road projects that are unpaid currently stand at an astonishing 105 billion Ghana cedis. Despite these considerable challenges, this government remains steadfast in its commitment to prioritize vital infrastructure projects that address the pressing backlog of poor roads. Our strategy will be anchored in executing our flagship initiative under the Big Push program. The Big Push will see major rehabilitation of many key roads in the feeder roads, urban roads, and highway sectors. We'll also undertake the following key initiatives to revitalize the road sector. We'll reintroduce tolls, road tolls, using modern technology. We'll rationalize the road sector portfolio to focus on high-impact initiatives. Mr. Speaker, we will uncap the road fund in order that it can accumulate more money to pay for road maintenance. Mr. Speaker, we'll minimize sole source procurement to encourage competition, competitive bidding, and enhance public transparency in the procurement processes. Mr. Speaker, the drip equipment, which was acquired at the last moment as a knee-jerk reaction for electioneering purposes, will be reorganized into regional mobile maintenance units to provide emergency road works in the regions. Mr. Speaker, I've realigned the Ministry of Transport to oversee 4 modes of transportation: aviation, maritime, inland water transport, road transport, and railways. The government will commission a feasibility study to develop coastal water transport services. This initiative aims to promote alternative modes of transport and ensure their integration into our existing systems under the National Transport Policy. It also aims to enhance tourism, reduce road traffic, and mitigate environmental pollution. Motorcycles and tricycles, commonly known as Okada, hold significant potential as a more convenient, timely, safe, and cost-effective mode of transport. Currently, the road... Mr. Speaker, Illegal mining, commonly known as Galamsey, has inflicted tremendous harm on our forests, leading to significant land degradation and pollution of vital water sources. This reckless activity threatens Ghana's environment and public health. Mr. Speaker, I'm sad to report that presently 44 of the country's 288 forest reserves have been impacted. An area that is alarmingly equivalent to approximately 8,000 football fields has been completely destroyed. Mr. Speaker, the pollution levels in major rivers within the southwestern basin are critically high, with turbidity levels far exceeding possible units. To combat this urgent crisis, we're implementing a proactive approach that includes robust and impartial law enforcement, meaningful stakeholder engagement, and the creation of alternative livelihoods for our citizens involved in Galamsey. We're expanding the Minerals Commission regional offices to strengthen their regulatory oversight. We will establish a framework that categorizes mining activities into small, medium, and large scale, each with its tailored regulations. Mr. Speaker, we will establish a gold board, and we're in the process of doing it. Legislation will come to this House shortly. This gold board will ensure effective governance of the gold industry. At the same time, we wish to take advantage of Ghana's salt production capacity to place it as a central export commodity under the African Continental Free Trade Area. We will also seize opportunities presented by the global shift towards net zero emissions to craft policies related to critical minerals such as lithium. The anticipated development of the integrated aluminium and iron industry will significantly increase the value of Ghana's natural resources. In our commitment to restoring degraded forests, we will launch the Tree for Life restoration policy and the Blue Water Initiative, which will transform mined-out areas into ecological recovery zones. This ambitious afforestation program aims to establish more than 50,000 hectares of new plantations and undertake 5,000 hectares of enrichment planting annually. We'll also implement public sensitization campaigns to foster sustainable forest management practices and uphold the Wildlife Resource Management Act. We're going to involve school children and the general public in tree planting and tree growing. Mr. Speaker, comprehensive reforms will be introduced to enhance transparency and efficiency while ensuring tenure of security in land administration. Climate change remains a pressing concern for Ghana and the global community. To meet our climate mitigation targets, Ghana has allocated 24 million metric tons of its carbon budget, totaling 64 million metric tons of carbon for authorization under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. We've successfully authorized 3 projects which are poised to reduce 5.2 million tons of our carbon emissions. In line with our manifesto, we are committed to strengthening institutional and human capacity through necessary adaptation and mitigation measures to bolster resilience in critical sectors such as agriculture, forestry, energy, and water resources. We also pledge to align our national policies with international efforts to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade by 2050 and promote a fair and just transition to renewable energy sources. Mr. Speaker, we stand on the cusp of making history. The history of a country that prioritizes transparency and accountability as key elements of governance. During my campaign for president, I pledged, as captured by the NDC's 2024 manifesto, to take a strong stance against corruption. Mr. Speaker, we must end state capture. Mr. Speaker, we must end the purchase of state and public assets, such as land and other immovable assets, by members of the political class. Mr. Speaker, I pledge to fight corruption head-on by implementing Operation Recover All the Loot, ORAL. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, one of the first committees I established, even before my investiture as president, was to establish the oral committee on the sidelines of our transition. It is instructive to announce that the committee received over 2,000 complaints from the public and has since handed over a comprehensive report. This report has been given to the Attorney General for further review, thorough investigation, and eventual prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, the recent arrest related to the unwarranted payment of $2 million of Ghanaian taxpayers' money in the Sky train saga, and then also the National Service Ghost name scandal, mark only the beginning of a comprehensive response based on the oral committee's findings. Mr. Speaker, let me state that my commitment to fighting corruption will continue with the establishment of a unit at the presidency and the maintenance of the hotline where complaints and reports regarding graft and corruption will continue to be received and transferred to the office of the Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, we will shortly submit for consideration a bill to regulate and restrict the sale of disposal of public lands and state assets. Mr. Speaker, as soon as the 2025 budget is approved, government will immediately take steps to reform the existing anti-corruption agencies by increasing funding and improving transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians voted largely and overwhelmingly and endorsed the NDC because we demonstrated a strong commitment and abhorrence for corruption. We pledged to fight corruption and implement far-reaching reforms that will eventually achieve a sustainable zero-tolerance policy against corruption. Mr. Speaker, the justice and legal sectors play pivotal roles in ensuring accountability and fostering the fair, equitable treatment of all our citizens by the state and its agencies. Delays and uncertainties have plagued justice delivery in Ghana, leading many Ghanaians to perceive a politicization of the judicial process. The public trust in the judiciary's independence is alarmingly low. We must work together to restore confidence in the judiciary. My government will uphold the judiciary's independence and work with the Judicial Council and services to depoliticize justice delivery and collaborate closely with the Chief Justice to combat corruption effectively. No matter how well-intentioned our efforts to reset our economy are, they will not yield the desired outcome without the support of the people of Ghana. And so to my dear countrymen and women, you have clearly and unmistakably expressed your displeasure with the poor governance and corruption that has existed in the past. Mr. Speaker, some of our compatriots did so even at the peril of their lives, just as our 28 February Crossroads shooting national heroes did in the Gold Coast. May all such martyrs of democracy, those who have died in the process of elections and in the process of just exercising their civil rights, may they rest peacefully in the bosom of the Lord. Mr. Speaker, we will, as I promised, investigate these deaths and we will provide appropriate compensation to the families of those who have died during the elections. My brothers and sisters, you gave me a compelling mandate that leaves no one in doubt about your expectations of me and my government. You embraced the vision to generate new and well-paying jobs through the 24-hour economy initiative. The arrogance of power that you so much abhor will be a thing of the past. I will enforce and demand the highest standards of performance from those I have chosen to work with me to improve the circumstances of our country. I'll publish a code of conduct that they will be strictly made to abide by. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me if I didn't admit that the entire economic value chain is currently in the internal ICU, As I recall mentioning a few intensive care unit. As I recall mentioning a few years ago, when we were still in opposition, the economy is even worse than we had envisaged. But this gives us ample opportunity to be innovative in our efforts to resuscitate it. And so what are the key takeaways from me for the people of Ghana? 1, that we shall fight corruption effectively. 2, that we shall run a lean government of no more than 60 ministers. 3, that we shall realign the ministries, agencies, and departments to eliminate duplication. 4, that will introduce austerity, reduce wasteful expenditure and spending, and improving tax collection. 5, that we shall widen Ghana's taxness, reform tax waivers, especially on investments, and return to our homegrown solutions. 6, that we will grow what we eat and reduce imports of food and goods that can easily be produced here in Ghana. Your voice and contributions will prove invaluable on this journey of national reset, and I encourage you to make your voices heard. I commit to the judicious use of your resources, eschewing waste and ostentation. We will always endeavor to make the most of the little we have, so that together we can guarantee a brighter future for our children and our children's children. Though the state of our nation now may appear bleak and the task of addressing it may seem daunting, nothing should stop us from achieving our goals once we set our minds to it. In one collective push, we can resolve to make this great nation bequeathed to us by our forebears and see it come to fruition. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's economic challenges are not insurmountable. They present the government and everyone else the opportunity to innovate, to reflect, review, and reset, which is the theme for the commemoration of our scaled-down 68th independence anniversary. Mr. Speaker, it is said that there is strength in unity. Ghana's greatest strength lies in its people, its young and energetic youth. If we stand united, we can be more resilient and build together the power of collective action to overcome economic and social challenges. Every Ghanaian, regardless of political affiliation, background, or status, has a responsibility to play a key role in nation building and work towards a complete reset of our country. Mr. Speaker, let me assure you that we are leaving no one behind as we reset to rebuild the Ghana we want. We will rebuild a Ghana that works for all of us and not just a few. We shall live the dreams of our forebears in our lifetime. And so, my countrymen and women, where despair once existed, let hope radiate. And where the sun appeared to set on our bright prospects as a nation, let a new dawn of enthusiasm and renewal supplant it. So that when I come and stand here next year to present a message of the state of our nation, it will be one brimming with excitement and happiness. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for this opportunity. I thank honorable members for your kind attention. May God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you for staying tuned. This is how far you have come today, and you have more in store coming your way, and you cannot afford to miss out. Please do turn the notification bell on so that you'll be notified duly. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.